Hey everybody, Derek here to bring another video for The Walking Dead, countdown to the start of Season 7. And what I want to do in this video is ask whether Morgan will give up Aikido in Season 7. If you are not caught up with The Walking Dead and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, then I would exit the video now and come back later, because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay. So, looking back at Morgan's character, we've obviously seen that he has gone to two very different extremes in his approach to whether he killed or whether he didn't kill. For a time after he lost Jenny, his wife, and later lost his son, Dwayne, we saw Morgan adopting this approach of clearing. You know, he cleared everything, walkers, people, killed them, believing that that's just what he had to do, that was the only way that he could survive. We then, of course, see that he meets up with Eastman, who teaches him a new path, Aikido. You know, this principle that all life is precious, and we don't kill people in Aikido. Those that practice it do not kill even the most evil person. And we've seen that Morgan has been applying that approach to his life since season 6, you know, throughout the whole entire season 6, that's what he's been doing. But we get to the season 6 finale, and we have that scene where Carol is being shot by that savior named Roman, who she earlier wounded on the road, and we see Morgan break Aikido. You know, he comes on the scene, he does give Roman the chance to walk away, to just put his gun down, walk away, leave, and that he wouldn't have to die, that nothing would happen to him. And of course, Roman doesn't really care what Morgan has to say, doesn't comply. And at that point, Morgan shoots Roman several times, killing him. And of course, many of us might sit there and say, well, finally, Morgan, hey, good for you, you finally get it. And in a sense, it's a good and a bad thing. I think that there's been many fans that may have disagreed with Morgan's approach, this approach of not killing. But for Morgan, it's a very significant moment, because no matter what way you justify it, no matter what good reason you approach or, you know, that you give to Morgan killing Roman and saving Carol, you cannot deny that Morgan broke Aikido when he killed Roman. He did it to save Carol, but no matter what, he broke the code. He broke Aikido. So obviously it does make you wonder, is it just that he finally found a situation where Aikido doesn't work? Did he realize in that moment that his principles just didn't work? Or was there potentially another philosophy that maybe he used in order to make the decision that he made? Because when you look at Morgan's character, you saw that Morgan did appreciate Aikido and its principles. And like Eastman, who used Aikido to get over the deaths of his wife and 2 children, and to potentially, you know, live a better life, to live a more peaceful life, Morgan channeled Aikido and used it in the same way to get past Jenny and Dwayne's deaths. And we saw that Morgan believed that it worked, and saw it work in, you know, his personal experiences. If you remember the Alpha Wolf, you know, yeah, granted, the wolves came and killed many of Alexandria's citizens. Morgan took the Alpha Wolf hostage. We saw the wolf say, well, if I ever get loose, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill everybody in here because that's what I do. It's just who I am, Morgan. And we saw that the wolf did get loose, took Denise hostage, and could have done anything to Denise. He could have hurt her. He could have killed her. But instead, in that moment, he changed. He, of course, killed several walkers, saved Denise, and then Denise was eventually able to get back to the infirmary and save Carl's life. And, of course, Morgan relays this to Rick. So we know that Morgan does believe in it, sees how it works, and does appreciate the values. But we also see that he is conflicted about it. If you remember in episode 7, Heads Up, when he was sitting down with Michonne, Rick, and Carol talking about the fact that he let 5 wolves go and they almost killed Rick, Morgan did express doubts about the practice, about applying it to the real world. That, yeah, granted, I mean, it might work on a personal level, one-on-one, but when you apply it to a group with a lot of different people, it's hard to apply and it's hard to keep going. Because if you remember, Morgan was alone. Morgan was alone when he was a clearer, and he was alone when he was with Eastman. Had they been in a larger group, would they have believed the same things? I don't know. That's a hard thing to figure out. And I think that, again, when he was talking with Michonne, Carol, and Rick, I think we saw that Morgan really did truly feel conflicted. That there were times when maybe he realized, you know what? Yeah, maybe I should have killed that guy. Maybe I should have killed those 5 wolves. Yes, thankfully everything worked out, but let's be honest here, it might not have. And I think that he believed that there might have come a time when Aikido wasn't going to work. I think he knew that deep down inside, because let's face it, there would probably come a time, just like when Carol was talking with him in the season 6 finale, that there might come a time where Aikido doesn't work. And I think that Carol and Roman, the situation there, Morgan realized that Aikido was not going to work. And he made the decision that he made. But again, why did he do that? Why did he decide to kill Roman and abandon Aikido? Well, I think that in season 7, they're going to have to explain that a little bit. I think that Morgan's going to need to open up a little bit, whether it's to Ezekiel, whether it's to Carol, whether it's with himself, his actions. And I hope that they give some insight into why he made the decision. And I think it would be beneficial for us to understand it. Because I think that there could be, different reasons for why he did what he did. Because it doesn't necessarily mean that he wants to give up Aikido. And it doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go back to being a clearer either. But I think it has some significance that the show's going to have to explain. And I think when we pick back up in season 7, I think Morgan will be conflicted about his decision. I mean, he recognizes what Aikido did for him. It helped him recover from him and his clearer ways, the way that he used to feel, the way that he was killing everything in sight. And I think that, like what Morgan said, he knew that it was hard to apply, but he couldn't give up Aikido because he didn't know whether he would be okay with that, his personal self, his well-being. He still has dark feelings within him from clearing. And I think that when you enter certain, situations like that in your life, it's hard to get rid of those feelings. I kind of compare it almost like how Morgan went through his experiences as being a clearer and, going to being Aikido and not killing and being a little more mentally stable. I kind of liken that almost to somebody who's an alcoholic or addicted to some kind of drugs, or, people who smoke cigarettes, chew tobacco, or, if you're drinking a lot of caffeine, if you're addicted to that, those kind of addictions. If you want to get those out of your system, you have to stop using them. And you talk with a lot of people who, go into rehab and get past those, need of having drugs or alcohol or tobacco, whatever it is. And they say that they're always an addict because they always have that feeling of wanting to return to the substance that they were addicted to. And I think it's the same thing here with Morgan. You have Morgan who, was at a point in his life when he was just suffering from PTSD, just suffering in general, being a clearer and having him getting into that mentality that was the only way that he could survive. And I think that he worried if he killed that it would put him right back in that mental state, that he might become somebody that he doesn't want to be. And that feeling doesn't go away. And I think that Morgan knows that. I think Morgan fights all the time to prevent being that person he was in season 3, to stop from being that clear. And Aikido channeled those feelings and gave him a purpose, and it gave him a reason to not be that anymore. And anytime he feels himself going back to those moments, he channels Aikido and he's able to get out of that mentality. Like how somebody who enters a rehab program, whatever they use, the 12 steps or whatever they use to, cure themselves, it's kind of the same thing. The addiction is always within them. The feeling of Morgan wanting to be a clearer is probably always going to be within him, but he uses Aikido to channel it, like you use 12 steps to prevent yourself from using drugs. So obviously we see that with Morgan. And the question is, will he go back to Aikido, or does he have a new philosophy? And I think it could be either or. Because if you remember what Carol said in season 6 finale, when she ran away, she told Morgan, look, do you really not get the way that the world works? If you're around people that you care about, they are people you love, and they are people that you will kill for. And if you realize that you can't kill, or you don't want to kill, then you have to get away from them. And you just can't have both. And I think that to a certain extent, Carol's right. And I have to wonder how much of an impact those words had on Morgan. Because he might have taken those to heart in a very big way that motivated him to make the decision that he did by killing the savior, Roman. And I think that that might potentially become a new philosophy for Morgan. Because again, Aikido, in a sense, channeled him from feeling those clearer feelings. And the clearer, mentality was in response to losing Jenny and Dwayne. And kind of Aikido, in a sense, is his response to getting rid of those feelings and again being okay with losing Jenny and Dwayne. It makes me wonder if those words have influenced Morgan in a different way. That maybe what Carol said gives him the reason to be okay with killing when he has to. Because I think we've all seen in the Walking Dead world, there probably will come a time where you unfortunately will have to kill somebody in the zombie apocalypse on the show. And pretty much the only character that has not killed a person left on the show is Eugene. I think that's the only main character from Rick's group that has not had to kill a person. Other than that, everybody else has had to. And many people went a long time without doing it, but you saw that eventually they had to do it. Morgan was no exception. And again, if you have to do this, it's because you love and care about these people. If it's, the reason why Rick's group might be doing something. Because if you're killing for no reason, then you become like a wolf. You become like the governor. You become like Negan in a sense. But I have to wonder if Morgan has now found a new purpose. That what Carol said was correct. And that Morgan kind of thought back and was like, wow, yeah, if I really just would have killed Jenny as a walker when I did, maybe something wouldn't have happened to Dwayne. But on the other hand, maybe it's not my fault. Maybe it wasn't something I could control. Maybe Dwayne was going to die no matter what. But what you said, Carol, is correct. I would kill for Jenny and Dwayne if they were still alive. And I love you as a person, Carol, and I care about your well-being. I care about you, and I could kill for you. And maybe Morgan kind of channeled that. Those were the thoughts that were going through his head, and he finally found the rationalization that he needed in order to kill Roman and save Carol. I think that's very possible. I think that he might have a new purpose, that maybe he can kill now, but that he still doesn't want to. I don't think that we're going to see Morgan becoming somebody like Rick in season 7. I think that if we see Morgan, he may be conflicted. He may still be trying to figure out what to do. I think he will get a handle on himself, though, and know the path that he wants to take. But I don't think he's going to revert back to a clearer. And I don't think that he's going to want to, take up arms against the Savior. You still saw that Morgan gave Roman, the Savior, the chance to leave Carol alone and keep going. So I think that Morgan's not looking for trouble, and he certainly does not want to promote violence, and he doesn't want to kill if he doesn't have to. So I still think he's going to want to avoid killing when it's possible. And I think that if he has to, that maybe he has now found his purpose and reason for being able to, but I still don't think that he's going to want to kill. I don't think that's going to be his prerogative when we come back. He may have found a new purpose. He may, decide to go back to Aikido. That is also very possible. We saw that with Eastman. Eastman did abandon Aikido when he killed Crichton Willis, the man who killed his family. He was practicing Aikido before that, and then he went back to it afterwards. So it's very possible that Morgan might, realize, hey, everybody has a slip up. I can go back to the way I was after this. I can make it work. Maybe rationalize it. We'll see. But I don't think that Morgan's going to be promoting violence, promoting killing. I think he's still going to want to be peaceful. And I'll be very interested to see what happens with him and Carol when they meet up with the Kingdom in season 7. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that's going to happen? What do you think Morgan is going to do in season 7? Let me know. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you very much for watching.